Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the end of July of 2022, and not only are we getting closer to TV shows out there like Star Wars Andor, Bad Batch 2, as well as Tales of the Jedi, a lot of Star Wars fans are really looking forward to The Mandalorian Season 3, since it's really going to up the stakes, and how Favreau and Filoni are going to be doing amazing things by throwing in a lot of Star Wars Legends material into that season. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the Disney Star Wars universe is that there are a lot of things happening right now between George, John, and Dave, alright, given that they are taking a lot of examples from Star Wars Legends and reviving that into the Disney canon and taking advantage of that as well. We have a lot of other things happening with other Star Wars projects, such as the Acolyte Series, that's being done by Kathleen Kennedy, by the way. She has full creative power over that. That's still running into quite a number of issues. In fact, they're going to be lucky if they even get on that filming schedule for November of this year, because it's going to take no more setbacks, no more problems in between moving from this point till November. It's going to be a very tough process for them, but I digress. The thing about everything related to the Disney Star Wars TV shows is that ever since ObiWan Kenobi, a lot of fans have been a little bit more skeptical about what Disney is up to with the new Star Wars TV shows, and I, however, still have a lot of faith, because looking at John and Dave's work, their stuff to me is superior. They know what they're doing, they know what they're talking about. They are actual passionate Star Wars fans, and moving ahead, they're not going to have all that much, constraints, if you will, on these shows. They're going to have full creative power over everything, moving from Mando 3 to Mando 4 to Ahsoka, and so on and so forth. So, with that being said, with ObiWan Kenobi Season 2 now in the works over at Disney and Lucasfilm, creators such as Favreau and Filoni have been focused on their other shows, like Mando 3 and 4 plus Ahsoka. However, recently Ewan McGregor got involved in an interview where he was able to discuss more about his experience on the set of ObiWan Kenobi as a series, to where he revealed more secrets of the series by stating the following. He says, you know, it was really tough sometimes because we had all these crazy ideas that we had shot that almost made it to the final cut, and it just bugs me that we all just couldn't agree to do 3 more episodes. In fact, one of the pitches that I had made to Kathleen Kennedy was to make this into a 9-part series instead of 6. I always thought that 6 was too tight, too short, you know, for us, and that we needed more breathing room for us and for some of the characters. So, yeah, I brought this up to her, and in her defense, it was focusing on Kenobi that long would have taken away the magic for the character. She wanted to make Kenobi the shortest live-action Star Wars series because she had this belief, you know, that less is more when it comes to the legacy characters, such as Obi-Wan. What upset me so much was I had this whole scene with Liam, when we did a very emotional scene together with Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn speaking inside of this cave set that we had made for Tatooine. It took place at nighttime, I believe, and Liam just had the most powerful dialogue you could imagine. We had Qui-Gon talking about his failure with Anakin and his view on redeeming Vader and how it could be done. Just all these emotional lines, you know. Of course, I am paraphrasing, but it was sad that myself and Kathy just couldn't agree on something reasonable for these characters in the long run. Now, before I get on to the next part that really escalates as well, I gotta just say one thing about Ewan McGregor. I know a lot of fans have been pointing out that in the beginning, you know, Ewan McGregor was, you know, talking about the whole Moses Ingram backlash in the beginning and saying things like, you know, if you don't support her, or something around those lines, you know, you're not a Jedi, all these weird, you know, statements. But then, you know, he kind of seems to have flipped. And this is exactly what Mark Hamill did. And I think what's happening here is that there's basically this common trend where Disney tells these actors what to say and what not to say, and then the actors realize that it's actually giving them backlash, and then they have to actually just say what they want to say and just spit it out, and they do. And then, you know, they pretty much, you know, get more respect out of those fans. And I've seen that with Mark Hamill, we have seen that with Daisy Ridley, we have also even seen that, by the way, with John Boyega. You know, I mean, it took him a couple of years to eventually call out Disney for what they did to his character and how he was basically, you know, used as a red herring for The Force Awakens. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but they really made it out to be that Finn was going to be the Jedi, and, you know, John Boyega was so excited about that, and he was just basically used as a red herring and did a complete 180 and just focused on Rey instead. He didn't like that, and he called out Disney for that, and that's what made him very unhappy. But I digress. The thing about the Kenobi series, alright, specifically is that Kathleen Kennedy shot down a lot of ideas, one after the other. I mean, it was like as if, you know, she didn't want anything to do with something well written or something very much emotional, something that really makes the fans feel something very powerful. And Liam Neeson, alright, no surprise, really had, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago as well, is that Liam Neeson originally had a 5-minute scene as a Force ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. So moving forward from that, he goes on to say, she too felt that Qui-Gon Jinn needed to have a very short scene instead of what we shot and intended to use. I also brought it up to Kennedy that it was very risky to keep Reva alive. As much as I love Moses Ingram, I thought she was great and all. I love her as a person, she's just wonderful, but I didn't agree on her fate at the end. And this is another thing that we had differences with. Kathy wanted to keep her alive to continue her story in different ways that she tried to explore, and I don't know if these stories are a go or not still. I don't know. But I liked Stewart's ending a lot better of how it really went back to how Kenobi's secret never really got out to anybody else, besides who knows of Luke from the prequel trilogy movies. Kathy wanted to do another person, of course, about, you know, somebody knowing Luke Skywalker, of who Luke really is, and exactly what Kenobi's secret really is. And that was something I thought the fans would possibly have a problem with. I don't know, I just liked Stewart's ending more, since it felt like it had more closure and more plot devices were left open for fans. Now, separate from what Ewan said here, this all alludes to both Ewan and Kathy Kennedy having creative differences behind the scenes for Kenobi that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. As you know, Ewan McGregor was an executive producer for the Kenobi series, and he had some, and I say some, creative pull on the show. Can we blame Ewan McGregor for the Kenobi series? Well, maybe, maybe not. I don't think so personally, because the stuff that he was heavily involved in actually turned out to be the best. I mean, he was really involved with the Vader and Kenobi duel at the very end of the show. I thought that was the highlight of the series, and, you know, I think that was probably the best thing that we got out of it. Was it a little overhyped? I mean, they kept calling it the rematch of the century, you know, over and over. I feel like that if you had added in the John Williams music, and if there were a couple more obstacles for the characters to go through, and more challenges for the characters to go through, I think the fight would have been more of an impact on the fans. It would have had more of an emotional impact. And sure, Vader's mask getting broken was great and all, I loved it, but before that, I feel like that the emotion just seemed to jump around a lot, and it didn't really catch on as easily as, you know, the Battle of Mustafar, the Duel of Mustafar, I should say, in Revenge of the Sith. Why? Well, they had a lot of obstacles to go through. There was a lot of things to see in the background. I felt like this fight was very dark and pitch black on some TVs, where, unless you have an OLED, you can see this thing as bright as day, but if you don't, this thing is like dark. I don't know about you guys, but that's just me. So, overall, you know, let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.